All right, all right, all right. Hey, what's up, Farwan? Sally, Ansang. Um, I wanna say first of all, like as you noticed, it's not Sunday, right? So a little reminder. I'm switching this, I think, permanent to Fridays. I'll have to see if it all works out. Good. Like I think the big problem could be time zone wise that some people might not be able to make it. Luckily, Ultra Cow actually got up super early for this. I'm not sure if all of these would be willing to do that, so I'll have to see if we keep it on Fridays. Haircut detected. You know who did that haircut? Was me. I did it myself. It was kind of a struggle, I have to say. And no, I'm not gonna show all the sides, especially not the back of my head. I don't want to see it myself. So, all right, let me introduce the guys. I mean, you probably know, like a lot of you might know both names. And so John is, I think by now, one of the main FCs and goons, you can say. I would say Asher, John. Who else is there?
Jay?
Asher, John, Jay. I think you guys are the three main FCs at the moment. Then you probably know him if you're hostile to goons. You know him from Hartley's Harpies and other defense doctrines. You know, so if you whenever you tackle something big in Delve, it's probably gonna be John hunting you. Hey, what's up, Bjorn? For example, if you're in Bjorn's fleet and you get into Delve, it's probably John after you. We worked together like I don't know a good couple of times in different wars even, right? We've got some history working together. And then also Shade says it in chat already. Like you've got that love for smart bombs, and well, I do too, right? So I believe you can comfortably say you're probably the most successful chemo FC in EVE history. It's probably right?
I have killed 1,837 ships with my chemo.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone gets close to that. So, and then you also, you focused on that for quite a while, I think, just because it's fun. Like, and especially at the time when nobody else was flying them all that much. I mean, we did, but we didn't do it all that much, I think.
The problem is that they nerfed interceptors, so there isn't as many things you can chemo now.
Yeah, that is true.
You don't get the mass fleets of calls and shit anymore.
Yeah, that's what they were actually designed for, the Fuzzy Claws. Right? That was the intent behind it, because everyone was flying interceptor blobs, and we were just sick of it. So
most of what I kill now is like, the odd Corm gang or whatever that happens to turn up, or like a Caracal fleet.
Well, they might work against Kikis, I'm just saying. Please, nobody chemo me.
Right?
They should have worked against Sugars too, and nobody actually caught me. So, like, we lost maybe like 10 here, 20 there, but nobody caught us. I know. So I was always aware of that. Obviously, I was, right? But I feel like I got lucky and didn't get keyboard. Maybe lucky that you're on my side of the universe, right?
The buff to the warp speed of Tech 3s, it makes them even stronger.
That is true, right? I thought about that too. That warp speed buff, quite good for them.
You land on things so quick.
Yeah. But let me introduce the second guest, who is actually in the same corp as John. Ultra Cow. You might know him from like videos and stuff like this. If you're not in Goons, if you're in Goons, you also know him probably as NFC doing home defense fleets every now and then. But also FCs probably know him well because you're usually in a supportive role, or like you prefer the supportive role, setting stuff up and stuff like this. Stuff that maybe people even in fleet might not notice all that much. And I believe like one of your passions is definitely the video making, right? That's how I recognized your name right away.
Yeah.
And you just recently grew a little bit more into an FC role. Is that correct?
That's right. So I pretty much started out like with hunting. So I think I joined Goons like, was it 2.5 years ago or something? And the first like SIG that I joined or squad is Whelp Squad, which at that point claws like interdiction or yeah, like malediction and claw fleets were very popular, and they're very like high paced, flying around hostile space and hunting for ratters and trying to kill them. I kind of started out with that and got good at like descanning and hunting stuff. I think that's how I became kind of like well known. Like a lot of my videos are about hunting ratters and killing rattlesnakes and whatever.
Yeah, being in a scepter and stuff like this, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a unique.
And then,
it's probably the best position to be in if you do videos. Usually the scepters or the tackle, they are in the fight first. If you're good at surviving, it's quite entertaining to watch too. So it's probably a good mix, but sometimes you just die instantly, you know? And then that was it. No video to be had.
Yeah, I like it a lot because you're like always doing something. Like if you're just in a fleet as a regular like member, or then usually there's quite a lot of downtime. Like you have to wait on a gate, or you have to just wait for something to happen. And when you're hunting, it's just constantly like finding systems and descanning and hunting shit.
Yeah, I feel like
that kind of like high-paced like action kind of gameplay.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, if the typical F1 drone kind of thing is not enough for them, they kind of like to just dual box and bring a Dicta alt. Right? That's what a lot of people do. A lot of people in my corp do that. Like they always have like a second job in the fleet, be it a howler, be it a, just a scout, or like a scepter, Dicta, something like this, right? So yeah, I think it's a good way to, I mean, it's scalable. How much effort you want to put in, that's up to you then, right?
Yeah. So hunting, usually it starts with like scanning wormholes. Like that's like way before we do the fleet, just to find like good connections to nice areas. And then when we actually do the fleet, it's like just high-paced flying. So yeah, the way I got into FCing a little bit recently, which is only like I think the last half year that I've done a couple fleets, is like I became a coordinator in the Imperium, where you're kind of like supporting FCs to, how do you say, to like figure out strategic objectives and kind of tell them which doctrine would be good, or how they should fly it against other doctrines, like how you counter other doctrines. And at some point I was flying in a Ferox fleet where a horde brought some harpies, and the harpies came like really close to the Feroxes, and the Feroxes weren't tracking the harpies at all. And the FC had no idea like why that was, so I told them, well, you need to get a little bit more range on the harpies, otherwise you can't track them. And that's like kind of the point where I thought, maybe I should start FCing, because like I figured I had some like knowledge about how to fly stuff.
I feel like there's a lot of people out there that always fill that role, and they're just like in a supportive role, and they never pick up the FCing themselves. There's the positive type and there's the negative type too, right? So there's some guys that like to be just the all-knowing, like, oh, listen to me, but they never actually FC themselves for whatever reason. And then there's like the positive guys that actually want to help and improve someone's FCing. They actually know stuff, but for some reason, maybe they're not confident, or they, I don't know what it could be. What was it for you? Why did it take you so long to start FCing yourself then?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I've always kind of liked this like supporting role, I guess, like finding wormholes and like being the guy to tackle something for the fleet so that they can kill it, rather than saying, hold on this gate and stuff like that.
I think, like, thinking about it, maybe because there's already enough FCs and you don't feel the need to do it, and it's just as fun for you to make someone else's fleet work well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's maybe one of the reasons. Yeah, or responsibility. Yeah. Like, I don't think that's the case here, but there's some people there that they don't feel ready for the responsibility for bigger fleets, and then they never do it because they feel like, what if, right? It could be a reason for some people to, to not do it.
That's always a thing when you get new skirmish commanders that we have. Like they'll, it's an open group, so people just and they send the channel saying, "Oh, I don't know what to take out," and I just just pick one of the 20 friggin' doctrines we have and just go out and see what happens. You can all die and no one will care because we have limitless risk. So just do it.
You know what?
And some do it and some just like fly conflicts into a wall all day.
You know what I think is a good tip for fresh FCs? Take something out nobody else takes out. Make it a fun thing, you know what I mean? Take out armor drakes. I don't give a shit. Something weird. You cannot lose technically, you know what I mean? You went armor drakes. You were supposed to lose. But at least you get out there, people have some fun, make it a good experience, and it's gonna be fine, right? And then also be honest to yourself, right? Don't be the guy coming in thinking you're the shit, It's like, and then take out whatever, like Macarials on your first fleet and then just run them against the wall. Then you're not gonna have a good time, right? Like, make it a fun thing,
I think a lot of it is like people just trying to make it fun, because you'll go on some of these new guys' fleets and it'll be just dead quiet the whole time. It's like you should like chat to them or something.
Yeah.
They'll just be like a line here and then not say anything for the.
Yeah, I think that's a skill that needs to build, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then
for sure.
And then in my case, I think back in the day, I also had like a little bit of a language barrier at start. Like I wasn't as comfortable maybe talking English all day to everyone. And I can see that being in the way too a little bit. So, it's not always that easy to like have a conversation and talk to your guys in fleet and make it a fun experience. Some FCs are really good at that, right? I mean, one guy to point out there would be like a PGL or I would put Elo into that category too, right? When it like they kind of have their own little boat is a good example, yeah. It doesn't in the end. It's just ISK in the end. But did you have a good time for like 2 hours or 3 hours, however long that fleet was, right? That's the big question at the end.
You just have to be aware if you ever join a boat fleet, you know what you're getting yourself in for before you.
I mean, that is definitely true. Yeah, I've never been on a boat fleet, I have to say. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of people from Inner joining like coalition fleets. Just a handful of people. You like to do that. But yeah, like if you just want to like have a good time, that's probably a good fleet to join. Just get in and kill some stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty like crazy fleets.
Probably always kill something, but you will probably die in a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you killed something first and it was fun for 2 hours or like an hour or something, and then you die in a fire, like it could be worse. I mean, unless you're in like a Titan, then. Maybe that's not as enjoyable at the end.
I think that he did a cap run the other day and ended up on Hordes on dock, and they sat there for like 4 hours or something before they finally undocked and killed all of them.
Yeah, you know what? I think they thought first. It's not necessarily bait, but they expected us to be ready to, right?
Yeah, and it's like, nah, but you're on your own. Sorry.
No, like he never come with us or anything. So like, and then we didn't know if they're ever gonna form. Like, what am I supposed to do then? Form just in case.
He was sat in 7RM for like an hour or two.
Yeah, I know.
And then he moved over and like, we're not midding boat. So if you go over there, you're on your own. So he just died.
Yeah, it took them quite a long time, and then they called in the pine cones, like the conifers, yeah. And then did they kill something? I think they killed even some dreads, right? That was a good time. Right. I don't think anyone was too mad.
Yeah, I think our fleet killed like 8 dreads and lost like their entire fleet.
But look at that. Like, let's be honest. Look at that, and then say, technically, he had a 4-hour fleet with like super slow travel, right? Then he got there, and then all he did was kill a couple things and stuff like this, and then he lost his entire fleet. But in the end, those guys are not gonna be mad. You know what I mean? That's exactly what I'm saying. Like in the end, they had a good time, and they don't even care, right? But that's his skill. I feel like even if you lose like that, technically,
managing to keep them entertained for all the 4 hours is the skill, isn't it?
They
were around drunk as well by the 4 hours.
Yeah, it is like that might be a very underrated FC quality right there, right? That you can keep your fleet entertained even through the nothing is happening phases, which a lot of fleets have sometimes, right? I know when we're hunting, sometimes we have to sit on a warmer for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe even longer, get the timing right and all that stuff, you know? Maybe the target isn't like warping where we need it to warp or whatever, right? And then people sit on a warmer, and I always feel super bad for it. But that's how the hunting business works. I'm pretty sure, Ultracore, you do a lot of hunting, right? So you know that too well.
Yeah, for me, so up until recently, it's usually me hunting and then the FC entertaining the fleet. So I never like had to care about that too much. But now that I start FCing a little bit, I think especially when you're starting out, it's difficult to do both, like to be a good FC and like have fun with your fleet and make jokes and stuff like that. Because
it's not easy.
Yeah, I think that's really a nice skill that some people have. Like people like Asher, for example, he can just chat away about random movies and music from the 80s or whatever.
While he's doing stuff.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, he's like slaughtering some other fleet.
Yeah, that's where I usually lose my scouts, right? Like I'm too distracted doing too many things at once, boom, something dies, right? It's usually my scout dying. And then our chance of catching something goes down too, because my scout is dead, right? And yeah.
RIP FC's interceptor ult.
Sorry, say it again, what?
Rest in peace, FC's interceptor ult. They're always left and forgotten on a gate somewhere to die to rats or some random guy.
It happens too many times. It's like a running gag and in it, like it's only an op if I lose my scout, and I like almost every op I lose one. But yeah, that's like that might be an old school thing too. Because if I like, for example, Bliss, who is like our like Init's leader and main FC, he likes to do all the things at once. It's craziness. Like I can't even do that. Like he's anchoring, he's probably doing a Logi anchor too, and then calling targets, and he's setting up some shit and dicta bubbling them while he's moving Titans 2 regions away, and he's probably chatting with someone at the same time, right? So like that might just be an old school thing, like that skill that you needed back in the day a lot, because everyone was kind of on their own. Yeah. Maybe they just developed.
Well, you for sure can't read Discord while you're FC.
That's true. I'm a nightmare to court.
Hey, Pendo, do you need help? And then you'll just have to talk to someone else.
yeah. You have to combo Ari or Norman or whoever. Right? Who else is like who would you combo if you can't reach me? Who would you combo?
Shines or like Lexi
Shines.
or someone.
Shines or Lexi, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
just go on Discord and go in it, somebody.
You know what? My brain doesn't even compute the pings anymore. Like I'm getting pinged, it doesn't even recognize it anymore.
It's background noise.
Because that sound just like it's just in the background. It's like birds outside. You know, you don't listen to every bird tweeting away.
It's like Jabba with Ultra both coordinators. So every time an FC or somebody wants to send a fleet out, we get a ping. I just don't even hear the ping anymore. I just see the channel light up blue and look at it. It's just ping, 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 ping all day.
Yeah, it can get crazy, right?
Yeah, especially if there's a fight or something happening. It's really great.
Yeah, someone's saying why black screen. I think that might be you, Disciple. But yeah. So guys, so you just started FC in a little bit more like officially FC, and I guess. What's your doctrine? What's your go-to doctrine at the moment?
So lately I'm just flying Jackdaws mostly. Yeah, like I said, I started out with like interceptor fleets. I have seen a couple of those back in the day when they were like more popular with claws and like alpha damage and stuff. But lately it's mostly jackdaws, and a couple times I flew harpies.
Yeah, jackdaws are strong, right? I mean, if you have critical mass, you can almost kill something every time. Like it's almost like you can't not kill something if you have, like, let's say 50 plus, right? You can basically get away with a kill or two against anyone, right?
Yeah, I think it's also nice that they are a little bit versatile. Like you can fly them quickly, and for example, with a missile guidance computer, you get very long range. So you can fight, for example, caracals and stuff like that. But you can also fight cormorants or harpies, or like there's a lot of stuff you can fly if you're able to FC them properly, I think.
Yeah, and Mike Plot says you can other Feroxes with a big enough fleet. I've not seen that, but yep, you can totally do that.
When Alpha Star was fighting Darkshines in, what was it, Estakem, we were volleying Feroxes with our Jackdaw fleet.
Oh yeah, I remember that fight. We lost the Iskwa because we had Tech 2 Logi.
Yeah.
yeah. And they killed all the Tech 2 ships. And then,
we
it was a good
lost
fight.
17 ships and we killed their entire fleet.
And still lost. Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't matter at the end. I mean, everyone had fun on that grid. So that's a good thing.
They shot me 3 times and just couldn't, because I assume they had antimatter loaded.
Dirty headshotters. God
Yeah,
damn
right.
it. Horlings. But yeah, and then, John, besides, I mean, you're not doing a lot of chemos at the moment. What are you flying then at the moment? I mean, I know harpies are your go-to. Is it still your go-to
Pretty.
defense? What
depends,
else?
but depends what they come in, right? Like for Munins or Jackdaws, Harpies, Sacrileges, Titans. It really depends on that.
You think there's any ship that people might not be aware, like that? What's fucking underrated like crazy?
Not that I use, really.
I think the Sacrileges, like, they weren't flown for a really, really long time. Like, it was all Munins and Eagles up until we did our deployment, where Sacrileges, I think, did really well. With like,
Don't tell anyone. Sacrileges are terrible. Nobody uses them.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sacrileges suck. Don't fly them.
Well, Asher flies them, but I think the SIG is not deployed at the moment, so there's not a whole lot of fighting going on where you could field sacrileges, right? So
Yeah.
the word isn't out yet. Not entirely. I think
The Typhoons
most people are aware though.
In the Jeff deployment were fantastic. The frigate logi didn't work, but the actual battleships were great.
Well, now you have boards, right? If you lose a Foon, it can spawn a frigate logi.
Yeah.
I mean, battleships are great if you don't have to travel.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what else do you think would be required to make battleships great again? You know what I mean? To get them more into space. What do you think? Like, is there anything on that you would wish CCP would introduce for them?
Hacks are just too strong, aren't they? I think that's the main problem. I think they, like, I don't know. I feel like cruisers shouldn't be able to sit at the same range as battleships can engage and just be like immune to the battleship.
You know what? I entirely agree, and I think I brought that up when I talked to Rice last week. I also said, like, why don't battleships have more range? You know, that range. Yeah. It's weird that they hit at the same range as like hacks. Really, I mean, it's like the same kind of range.
Like, if they made cruisers have to engage at like 50 to 70, and then battleships can engage at like 100 plus, I think that would make it more interesting, wouldn't it? Because then you're a bigger ball of death than the hacks that can sit at 200k and snipe you with eagles.
Yeah, that Munin and I mean, Eagles did only lose some they only lost some fitting, right? They only lost some power grid. But I thought like both of them need like a proper hit on the optimal
They
range.
nerfed the speed, didn't they, on the Eagle as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but the speed,
It's negligible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still faster than battleships, so it doesn't.
Speed and power grids, yeah. I felt like they should have lost a little bit of range, but what are you gonna do?
I think realistically, until they nerf the ADC or something, that they're just going to be better than battleships.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not too much against the ADC, to be quite honest.
I don't have a problem with the module. I just think it makes them, sort of the strongest doctrine, as long as people remember to push the button, right? But
yeah, I think the problem with the ADC is that, or a problem, I don't know if that's a problem, but you don't have it on battleships, right? Like battleships are all T1 with shitty resist. They don't have an ADC. That's like the big difference between hacks and battleships.
Yeah, I mean, not all battleships have shitty resists. There's a couple of them, especially now with the resist patch coming up. Rattlesnakes and rocks and what else? Abaddons. They do have a resist bonus, so they're gonna end up having like a good set of resists. And I mean, a lot of times it's coming down to the EHP anyway. Right? Can you survive that alpha? Which is almost always the meta right now. Like if you survive the alpha and the reps can grab you, boom, you're done. You're fine, right? But if not,
block
that's
the
it.
Feroxes and just mill anything.
Yeah, well, that is, I mean, that's another thing which I'm not too happy about with the resist changes. If you could predict someone who is in like a certain ship type, right? Let's say someone is always bringing Feroxes. You could, which we did before with Lokis and so on. You could just bring like well-tanked kinetic thermal ships, right?
Yeah.
X-type hardness on it, and then you know they're gonna have a hard time cracking that stuff. And we fought actually an Eagle fleet and a Ferox fleet at the same time that both outnumbered us in Loki's alone. But because we had like X-type hardness for kinetic thermal in there, they couldn't crack us. And then you can actually take them on. But I'm not sure if that's actually possible now. Maybe it still is to a degree, but it's tough. Or the Discord ping. Oh god, guys, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go stream more in a sec. Here we go. It's fixed. I'm sorry for the Discord ping.
Yeah, I didn't even hear it.
Your brain didn't even compute.
Yeah.
But yeah. But like, are there any? Do you think like any doctrines like hacks or any doctrines really that you could really like live without? You think Eve would be a better place without them?
I think it'd be a more interesting game without them in their current
state, like hacks completely removed.
Well, I mean, most hack fights, you land on grid, kill each other's logi, and then one side fucks off, right? Because they're pretty uncatchable if they just want to frag all your attack, and they can just leave. The fight is kill your logi, okay, free fire and dictors, and we'll walk.
Yeah, I mean, there is another school of thought saying, okay, we should kill the DPS first. But, yeah. Most of the time, it's the go-to move to kill the Logi, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on the scale of the fight. Right?
Yeah. But,
it's these, like, 2,000 man fights, you just kill hacks.
But would you agree when I say, like, everyone would love to have more battleships in space, duking it out? 100%,
well,
right?
I'd say we would, but Anfam seem pretty against it.
Oh, wait, why?
Well, they'll just bring Feroxes and have their precious Isk war.
Oh, you mean because, like, when you were deployed up north and they only brought Ferox? I think they just simply didn't have a battleship doctrine. That's why they brought Feroxes, right?
They have Baltex, or whatever, Beam Techs, I guess they call them.
Oh, really? Beam Techs?
Yeah.
Why would they call them Beam Techs?
Yeah, they're
right.
beam.
I have to go with the fucking beam, right? I guess. I mean, can't all be cats and shit? Like, where did that come from anyway? Why did people?
Yeah. Slow cat.
I think doctrine names, like there's a lot of room for improvement and a lot of groups, right? I mean, we're trying our best, but we still have some really bad names for doctrines, I have to say.
I think we're trying to give up on giving names to shit because she'll like send a ping saying get in, you know.
Yeah, and then people get confused.
Jackdaws. I had a guy legit tell me the other day, what the hell's a jackdaw? Because he thought they were called a jackdaw, because that's what we're called. The
Oh my
doctrine.
god. Well, he was probably trolling, right?
No, he wasn't. It's just goons. Just goon things.
Yeah, we have some special people in goons.
Well,
We do have some stupid names though, like Ares Doctrine, which is just like a home defense interceptor. It's called Drama Fleet because of when we were making the doctrine, there was all the STs were moaning. We had rocket maledictions first, and they had like this big rant about how they were terrible, but they were okay. So we ended
drama,
up
please.
with Ares that were called Drama Fleet.
So you take out jackdaws or whatever, right? Like, so what was the best op ever? Like smoothness, right? You just form, you go out, and then you just like kill everything, and then you're back home. Like, is there one op that sticks out? That was the best op ever. What do you think? Like, do you have one of those where everything just worked out, or maybe a hunt or something?
It's too many.
Too many. It's
too amazing at this game. I don't know. Like,
or maybe wait a second. Way more interesting, actually. What was the worst op ever? What was your worst op ever?
Which Titan loss mail do we do?
You lost a couple Titans, yeah?
I've lost a couple of Titans, yeah. One or two. Baited on a PL streamer and being stupid in PL stage.
What, a PL streamer?
Yeah, well, yeah. It was like 4 a.m. and a guy in my call was like, "Hey, do you want a DD off a carrier?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I jump in, Doomsday the carrier, and in come some PL dreads and a Sleipnir fleet. Like, oh, this went well. I would have got out as well.
On a free carrier.
Fucking Pittsburgh lit the Sino in a bubble. So I jump in and I jump my Nyx in to kill the Hick. And the fucking Nyx bumped my Ragnarok. So I'm just bouncing it forever. And
Beautiful.
I would have walked off.
Yeah, you know what? There was like an interview with like a German MMO site, and I mentioned the fight where I lost like, I think it was 2 Titans, 3 supers, 2 faction supers, and stuff. That was like the worst. Like Iskwise, it definitely was the worst op I ever did, and then made like the big story out of that one. It's like, ugh, like I don't even want to hear about that all that much.
I suppose another bad one is the Locust Taint. My bad.
Oh,
64 oracles down the drain. Yeah.
That one was your op, yeah? Oof. Yeah, that sucks.
Okay, we killed all the dreads.
It was fun for all the super and Titan
the
pilots.
Titans had a great time. The oracles not so much.
And what about you, Ultra? You got any op that sticks out, good or bad?
Yeah, I got a couple. Like when I was hunting, I think. Like one time we killed I think it was a Nyx in Horde staging. Like we were in an interceptor fleet with a couple dictors. I think we had like 50 people in fleet, and I find a Nyx ratting in.
Molecule? I know, what is it called? I don't know.
Yeah, it was in Geminate. I think it's
in Geminate at the time.
And we were like, well, we're in like 50 interceptors, so we're never going to kill a Nyx. So we were just kind of like fucking around, bubbling the guy, like burning away from his fighters and whatever. And then we PM Space Violence, who had like dreads in Geminate. They formed in like 5 minutes, and we dropped like 30 dreads and a Loki fleet on him. And we ended up killing him, which was like really awesome.
Yeah, he probably didn't even ping because it's just a couple scepters, you know?
Yeah, we were just like fucking around, and suddenly there's like 30 dreads on grid.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Didn't they all die out as well, didn't they?
In the
Most of them.
video, in the video they all got out. I think they catch like one guy that warped to a planet instead of jumping.
There's always one of those.
Yeah. So that, and yeah, I've had some other super kills that were fun. And yeah, some of the fleets I really liked were the fleets with Pittsburgh. It was also in Shadow Sleep before. Like we used to hunt like Titans with our dreads. And yeah, for me it's really cool to kill a Titan still.
Yeah, with Pittsburgh, I have to be honest. I still don't know exactly what happened there. Like, it's probably gonna be it's probably a little bit of a weird topic for you to talk about that anyway. So I understand if you just want to dodge it, but like, what the fuck happened there that he got kicked in the end? I don't even know. Like, it must be more than just that one up, right? Can you just confirm that it was more than
it was more than the dread drop?
Yeah.
It was about the 5th or 6th time I threw myself in front of a freight train to save it. It didn't work the last time.
All right. I get it. But yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah, Pittsburgh was our CEO of Shadow State, where John and me are in. And after a couple of his ops, we were all kind of holding our breath if the whole corp is going to be kicked or not. We were like, this might be a little bit sketchy.
Yeah,
it happened.
The one before that, where what was it? We killed like a test titan or something, and there was some stink about the forts that we were in or something. And I said, Pitts, it's not looking good, Pitts. So he's like, I'm moving my Moloch, I'm out.
All right, so he saw it coming, like one day.
Yeah,
I think so.
When
because
it happened, I PM'd him and I was like, well, look, Pitts, it's me. It's you or the. And he's like, do you want CEO? I'm like, well, not really, but sure.
That's kind of what happened to me too. Like, I'm CEO of my corp. I didn't really ask for it, but if the CEO goes inactive, and then what happened in our case was he was inactive and he came back after, like, I don't even know, a year or something. And then he came back and said like, oh, well, the corp is not doing well and stuff like this. We're just going to disband. And everyone's like, what? We're having the time of our lives here. Like, get fucked, basically, right? And then he's like, all right, who wants CEO? And then someone had to pick it up. And yeah, that's what happened. I mean, he was a good guy. He just didn't understand. Like, he wasn't there for a year and then comes back and just assumes everything went to shit. While it was actually the opposite, right? Everything went like great. And everyone was confused. But yeah.
Run itself, yeah.
But I was wondering with the Pittsburgh thing, right? The Pittsburgh incident. I was supposed to be on the same op with dreads in the same Fortizar. But then there was cord issues, right? Not that I ever have cord issues, but I'm still just saying. I got the date. I said I can't make it. They said they don't know if they can change the date, and then they moved it for a day before for me, and I moved my shit a day later so I could show up. Or like, I moved the shit I wanted to do. Actually, moved it a day before, so we both moved it, and it still didn't fit. Then
that whole op was just a mess, right?
Yeah, mistakes were made, right?
Like, we would have killed those like 2 titans at least if we just had another side. Oh my god. Like, we jumped and got like, I don't know, 30 dreads or something in, and we had like, I don't know how many we had in fleet, like 110 or something. But we had an Erebus and like 10% armor when he fucking warped.
Yeah. And then, like, the thing is, like, in a Dreadbomb, you need to go in early and then hit them hard and then get the fuck out. But in this case, you hit them a little bit, not enough, even warps out, and then the next center goes up, and the next couple dreads come in, and it just took all so long, right? So that's exactly the opposite of what you want to do. You want to go in, fuck shit up, and get out, right? Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, Paulie says, like, I said Pittsburgh up. It was like an inside job. Mittens paid me. Like, he wanted to get rid of Pittsburgh. And he said, like, set him up.
The biggest problem with the this is a pandemic problem with Goon Swarm, right? Where it'll be like, right, everyone get ready, log in, join fleet, and jump to, and then you'll have all like a good 60% of the fleet do that, and then you'll have for the next 5 minutes of the sign-up being up, dreads just trickling in. So then you call for the next jump, and the 60 jump, and then it was like, I'm fatigued still because I'm slow.
Yeah. I mean, what you need to do is really get everyone logged in, get everyone in fleet, and then say, okay, guys, get ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So everyone can jump on that first tick, and then you should be able, technically, to get all the dreads on grid. But yeah,
you need to like do a goon fleet, and you'd see.
I don't know if I don't need that in my life. I think.
Can I catch up from Jita? No, you can't catch up from Jita.
I get tons of dumb questions too.
We're in impasse.
You probably know the guy that combos you in game or in Discord, links your fit. Is this alright? Like, can I bring this to the fleet? Like, can I bring my
like you'll send a ping saying, Jackdaw's on John or whatever, and the guy will join. So he managed to find the fleet, and then I'll say, "Who's the fleet? What's the fleet name?" Well, it's.
I never had that one.
The fleet's on the John. You're in the right op channel. Why can you not find the fleet?
You know what? By now, though, like MOTD hasn't always been a thing, right? People might have forgotten, but back in the day there was no MOTD. But now I feel like most people are used to just join the fleet, look at the MOTD. Most infos are usually there. And then if there's anything up there, they just write it in fleet. So the smart guys at least. And then the other guys in fleet can probably answer it, right? If I said something and the guys just joined or whatever. But yeah.
We have a crippling problem at the moment, which I'm trying to filter out, where you'll, like, defending Delve and stuff, I'll say, like, only Dictors go. And I'll have, like, 40 Harpies jump. Like, what are you doing? Just stop. So I've started just bridging people to the other side of Delve and let them just gape.
Oh, you know what's my worst thing? I fucking hate it. So when I do a kicky fleet, I usually have a couple bombers with us. Like let's say I've got 3 bomb squads with us. Every squad has 6 to 7 guys. Sometimes I put 8 in there because, some bombs get defended and all that stuff. I say bomb squad 1 bomb. How many bombs do you think are going to be on the way, right? 20 plus. Bomb squad 1, always 20 plus. It's like, dudes, come on.
Paying attention to what squad then.
Yeah, and then in worst case, it's I don't know, like could be a battleship fleet or Munins or something. And then you can't crack them because, like, simply you wasted half the bombs right now. And then suddenly you don't have the bomb power to kill certain stuff. And it just, so annoying. So annoying. Or you run out of bombs, which happens a lot of times when we go to horde stagings or like any staging where they like bring waves of stuff. And then you run out of bombs.
Right? I have a pretty good video of us landing a Harpy fleet on top of a bomber fleet, right? It's like a 100-man FRT bomber fleet. We land at 0 on them. And I'm like, spread points. And they all warped off, apart from like 2. And we had a 200-man Harpy fleet, and we didn't tackle anything.
Yeah, I know that too. But you know what? When you said I've got a video of a Harpy fleet warping in, whatever, right? I thought you're talking about that fleet where we were in Stukas. We MJ'd in, bombed our hostiles, and that's when the Goon fleet warped in with Harpies right in front of us, and we bombed like, I don't know, 20 of you guys. It was like, killed some friendlies there. But I was happy at the time. I was streaming that one, I think. And at least the Goon guys could see that I didn't mean to, you know what I mean? I didn't say like, oh, fuck it, right? I just said like, okay, do you MGD, and then bomb squad 1 and 3, 2, 1, and then they bombed. And then they warped in. That was just bad timing. I thought maybe that was your fleet. Maybe it was, actually.
No, it wasn't me. The only time I've been bombed in Harpies is when said album. But we only died because some idiot was in our fleet in a Nix, so we were warping at the speed of a super.
Oh, great.
So it would come out and warp really slowly as he can just aim the bomb run. Like, oh, God.
Paulie asking, why don't I run any coalition fleets? I think it's probably way more work. That's probably why. Like, I don't have to, you know what I mean? And I think as long as I can form with our guys and our fleets are big enough, then it's way easier for me. I don't have Jabba set up or anything. I mean, I do have Jabba set up if I want it, but yeah. Not sure what that comment is like, Blackbird. But yeah, that's why. I think it's a lot of extra work. I mean, you know, what I sometimes do is invite some friends. For example, what's the FXR, or we work a lot with Volta and stuff. But those are very small groups, so I can just send them, like, one of them an info, and then they can just get there in time, and you know, they organize themselves easily. But I wouldn't have an FC in like in the coalition that would do that for me, so it would be extra work, a lot of extra work actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so you said, like I said, that bomb run on the friendly harpies, there's a video of that, but luckily there isn't a proper video of it. There's just a recording somewhere. But Ultra, you're doing a lot of videos, and I think it's one of the most underrated maybe support roles in an alliance. Not necessarily like it has nothing to do with FC in that case, but I think that's underrated in every alliance. Like, it's always great to have like one guy, maybe two guys that make like proper videos, and you know, that they just you know, you can go back and look at them and, you know, see your fleets from before and stuff like this. It's like really good for morale and stuff. And I appreciate, like, even from hostiles, I appreciate that a lot actually. And or do you think people, or actually one question I have is, do people realize how much work goes into those, right? If you want to do a proper video with cutting and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Ultra Cat videos, man, are terrible.
Oh, your videos are nice too. I think, yeah. I mean, the main reason I make videos is just because I like watching videos myself. Like, before I started playing Eve, I was playing Lineage 2, which is like another like MMORPG. I made videos in that as well, and the main reason was just because we had like nice fights, like outnumbered fights with 2 against 9 or whatever, and then we won, and it's just really cool to see that, and it's also nice to see other people's videos. And it's pretty much the same in Eve. Like, I'm always recording, and if something cool happens, I edit it and put it on YouTube. It's nice to hear that like a lot of people like it. Like, I have quite a few people PM me and say, "Hey, when's the next video coming out?" Or that was a cool video or whatever.
Yeah, some people get it, right? But
yeah.
The majority doesn't. The majority doesn't get that you have to, like, first of all, you have to record it properly, which is not always easy, right? Especially if you're in a tackle role or stuff. You might be on grid early, but then you have to also get a good shot, right? It has to look good, right? That's what the video is for. And then you have to record it properly. Then you have to record it in a good quality, which then takes a lot of space in your hard drive. Then actually rendering a huge video takes ages, right? Or it can take ages. You know, depends on your setup and stuff.
Yeah, I think for me the thing that takes the most time is like editing comms, because quite often when I'm on a fleet, I'm not just on our Mumble comms, but I'm also on, for example, Discord coordinating with other groups, sometimes even on some like enemy comms. So it can be kind of hectic on comms, but it's really nice when you're watching a video to hear like what the FC is saying, what the scout's saying, and like how that results into the fight. So I try and like edit those comms in, but that takes a bit of work, especially if you like speed up the video. You have to like separate all the comms and then align them again with the video, so it kind of matches with the whole story. And that actually usually takes the most time for me.
Yeah, I think that's what most people who just do the speed up kind of thing. They don't tell the story. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, because
what was the
it takes
find?
a lot of work.
Yeah, what's the story? Right? Most people don't even tell that. There's a couple guys I know. Fake T, who might be in chat. He's like one of my guys who likes to do that. Who's actually also like designing making the cards and the background of the FC chat stuff and so on. That whole design stuff. That's
Nice.
all him. And he also does videos, and then he tells the story. Right? For example, at one time we did like heavy Stukas, which is like blaster nagas, and then we had a scan inhib with us, and we split the fleet up in two, and then had like one half under the inhib and the other half not. So it looks on the D-scan, it looks quite like, oh, it's not that many, right? Just 50 nagas, we can do this, right? And it's 150 nagas, right? So that kind of stuff, and then he shows it, and puts the comms where they belong, matches it up with the audio, like with the soundtrack, right? So it's like, I can appreciate that. I can see like how much work that is. Cause I tried it before, and I'm actually looking into getting into a little bit more into video making, but I want to do it proper, and I know how much work it is. So yeah.
Yeah. Those videos you can watch in like 5 minutes and then it's over. When you're making one, it takes usually takes me like 2 or 3 hours to do the whole thing.
That's fast, I would say. Like if I would have to do the same quality of kind of video, I probably need like 3 times the time.
Yeah, I haven't seen his video, so yeah, I mean, yeah, you can spend a lot of time on making a nice story video.
Yep. But then also, if you're experienced in video making, what were you thinking about the Eve trailer, the last one?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. First of all, I'm excited about some of the stuff that we don't know too much about yet. Like I saw this. Yeah, I don't know too much about that ship either, but I saw one ship that had like a kind of laser lightning thing that like bounced to a couple different ships.
Yeah.
And in my like imagination, I'm kind of hoping that's a counter to like really big fleets, where, for example, you can have, let's say, a 20-man gang fight a 100-man gang, but the 20-man gang is flying like AoE kind of high damage but expensive ships, where they can actually like make a difference in a bigger fight. I think that would be something cool to see.
You know what? Now that you said that, I just thought it's probably going to be a softer version of the Keeps the Doomsday, and that's it, jumping from mass to mass.
Yeah.
But now that you said that, maybe they could also go and say, okay, it only bounces onto the same ship type. That would be interesting too, because then that would be a small scale buff. Like imagine if you bring like a fleet and it's all different ship types, you have an advantage because that thing only bounces to that one thing. But if you bring all the same and it bounces to all the same ships, that would be funny. Maybe not all of them. Let's make a limit, right? Let's not go overboard with it.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. Like that could actually bring an interesting dynamic to it. I didn't even think about that before.
Yeah, I
What
think
do
there's
you?
some interesting stuff to do with like AoE, like area of effect.
But it's
fighting.
not really AoE. It's not like bombs, you know?
Yeah.
That's why they nerfed bombs recently, because you can hit like the entire fleet with each bomb, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. So
Yeah.
you have technically you have an endless amount of damage coming out of one bomb, right? If there's an endless amount of ships, you hit them all. It's like, it's endless amount of damage. But this one, it can only bounce to so and so many targets, so it's limited to a degree. So they can limit it, which is way easier to balance, right? So we'll see what it is.
Yeah.
But what do you think? What do you think? Or both of you think what exactly it's gonna be? Like, do you think it's gonna be like a signature based or like a mass based bounce to a certain amount of targets with a certain amount of damage, or maybe there's like a crazier thing behind it?
I think it'll probably just be a smaller version of the Keeps That Doomsday, really. So it'd be like, I don't know, 100k damage instead of 4 million.
100k would be a lot.
But yeah, it's supposed to kill stuff, isn't it? It depends whether it's if it had to charge up or something like that, so you have time to deal with it. Like you could just like shoot the ship, right? It's not an unkillable keep star you can't deal with.
Yeah, I mean, so if you have like a ship that would deal 100k damage and it bounces, they have to assume you're not gonna bring one of those, right? We would
Well,
bring
yeah,
like
but
10 of those. So
if it takes, it has like a 5-minute charge up and you only kill like 10 dudes and your fleet sat there with no weapons for 5.
yeah, well, maybe it's more designed to be like a supplemental kind of thing, right? You warp that,
Yeah.
you warp the laser squad in. Hartley's laser squad is landing,
Zap
and
a
then
bunch of them.
you laser half the Logi wing or something, right? Like pew pew pew, and then half the Logi wing is gone.
Just bring 24 of them, and just MJD away.
Dude, you can read my mind, huh? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's probably what's gonna do, what it's gonna be like, right? If it's working like the Keepstar Doomsday, that's exactly what people are gonna do. You take 3 command destroyers and you take a bunch of the laser ships, right? Or whatever it is.
But
What do we call
if
them?
you watch the trailer, does it actually show it hitting ships, or is it like shooting drones or something, or fighting?
No, it was actually shit. That was
If it's
actually hitting ships.
It looked very. Well, it would be an interesting count. If it like bounced to and killed entire wings of fighters, that would be pretty.
Of fighters.
Yeah, like you shoot it at a fighter squadron and it kills the entire squadron in one shot. That would be pretty great.
I mean,
Yeah. I was thinking about it the other day. Like, if you're in a subcap fleet and people drop carriers on you, there's not that many ways to like counter that as a subcap fleet. Like, you have space superiority fighters for other carriers that are really good at like killing fighters. But it'd be fun to have some like subcap ships that are really good at killing like a lot of fighters at once. So that might be an interesting idea.
Well, maybe, but I believe that it's probably going to be very simple, like you said, right? I don't think it's going to be 100,000 damage though. I cannot imagine. And then what is it? Signature based or is it mass based? Maybe the more mass you have, the more damage you take from it. That would be one way to balance it, maybe. Because otherwise, if you warp it in and you kill an 8-man squad of like frigates, that wouldn't be fun, would it?
Oh no! But I mean, if it's like the other stuff they've been adding, that's fancy, like the Zenitra, then it's going to be like 6 of them, isn't there? Just nobody buys them because they're too expensive to use.
Okay, so you think they might introduce them, but they're going to be so expensive, so it's a toy ship, and nobody really uses them. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the Ikatursa, right? Where it's pretty expensive and it has like a niche use. Unless you're a wormhole boy that wants to jump out and zap a carrier, you're not really going to.
Well, we did fly them in a mid-scale gang the other day. I tested a new fit. And there was a fight I could have taken. I still feel like, shit, maybe I should have taken that one. But it smelled like bait, so I didn't. It brought the guys home. But, I mean, the Ikatursos, they're not that expensive. Right?
But yeah, not now. I just think they're a bit of a niche thing, right? Like, there's so many doctrines that are just better than.
Yeah. But so, I don't think they're going to introduce it and make it too expensive. I cannot see it. The question, though, now that you mentioned the price tag, I do have to wonder, since it's going to be an Upwell ship, apparently, right? That's what it looked like, what people said. Like, how are they going to introduce them? Like, where do you get Keepstar blueprints and stuff like this? Is that where you're going to find the new ship too? I don't even know, right?
Yeah. They'll probably make some silly event that we have to go and get the BP from.
Or maybe that, yeah. But, so, let's...
Part of their events team, guy.
I would just assume, though, if they go and make it like a Doomsday kind of thing, it doesn't matter even what damage. I think the go-to move is going to be fit them to enough lock range to 200 plus, maybe 300 km. And then have 2 command destroyers to jump them in and 1 to jump them out. And then all you have to do is line them up. MJD in, MJD in. Doomsday, whatever that is, right? Let's call it Doomsday. and then MJD out again, and boom, something explodes. So I think that would be probably the way to go. That's how I would do it probably. And let's see. I mean, nobody knows. Lately, I have to say, and I would like to hear your input there. But lately, I feel like the stuff they introduced was way more thought out when it came in, right? Be it the frig bay of the battleships that didn't introduce scepters and all kinds of weird stuff, but they were smart of what they allowed, or be it what was the other thing where I thought like someone fixed it before it became an issue. They saw this coming. So I'm not sure if it was a CSM saying like, guys, watch out for this one, or it was CCP, but I think something is working a little bit better now, isn't it?
I think Rise just has his head on his shoulders rather than like some random CCP dev that's never played the game. Feel like, oh, that would be cool, but doesn't think of the repercussions of whatever happening.
Yeah, the filaments, exactly. Setchen says it. The filaments they seemed thought out. Yeah. So what were you saying, Richard?
Yeah, I'm always wondering how they're gonna balance this stuff. Like when I watched that video, I thought it'd be really cool to have one ship that can shoot like 8 other ships. But you need to balance it in some way, right? Because if those ships become readily available and we fly it with like 200 goons, all of those ships, we're gonna like annihilate anything that comes in front of us, right? So you need to either balance it by like scarcity, like how available it is and how expensive they are, or it needs to be some kind of mechanic where when you launch it, you neutralize like people around you or something like that. Like that's always the question I have is, it looks really cool to like shoot 8 ships at the same time and annihilate it, but how's it gonna, like, I'd like to see it in a way where smaller fleets can make some kind of impact on a bigger fleet, because currently you have like sniping Tengus that kill like a saber from 100 kilometers out, but they can't really do anything else. So I think that would be cool, but then if you do it in a larger fleet, it needs to be kind of nerfed in some.
Well, if it behaves like the Keepstar Doomsday, then what? You warp in a fleet of your own and shoot something, and it chains back to your entire fleet and kills. Like, oops.
Yeah, that could be a thing too. Like, just have that one command destroyer, and then MJD the command destroyer, and then Doomsday your own command destroyer. Right? You don't even have to do anything. Yeah. Maybe that's their way of balancing it, saying, okay, if you fire that thing, you cannot move, you're tackled or whatever, right? Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. That's gonna be a real interesting thing. Like, how are they gonna strike that balance?
Right? Well, if they make it as powerful as the Keepstar, but like
no.
I'm just reading chat. All he says, if it's only doing 3 hops, if that's their idea of balancing it to only killing 3 ships, that is broken.
Yeah, that's really broken.
So Setchen says maybe it takes time to spool, right? So yes, but in the trailer it didn't suggest that at all. They show it like, oh, look at this. It has an electric, like Tesla spool kind of thing, right? And then boom, stuff explodes right after. So it kind of suggests that it doesn't have a long spool up time. To be quite honest, it's probably going to be the 10-second thing, like a Keepstar, right? I feel like the Keepstar DD should be way longer, and then you can't hit subcaps with it because the subcaps can just warp out. But yeah, that's just me.
I think the Keepstar weapons should be disableable rather than just being, impervious death machine until it blows up.
Yeah, what I always wondered about is, so the design Keepstars to be hit by caps, really, right? If you look at all the stats and stuff, it suggests you have to do it with caps. You can technically do it with subs, and we did it before, but I mean, that's tough, really tough. But why would they put the DD in to make it even harder on subs? Like, why? And then they bring a monitor in saying, okay, we want the FCs to stay on grid so they can FC and the fight can go. But then the Keepstar DD doesn't care. It just DDs the DFC and 7 of his friends or 8 of his friends, right? I think that's just such an obvious thing that it's like, why? Why is that? I don't even know. It's like, It shouldn't be activated on subs. It might, let it bounce on subs. If they bring a fax and it, hit the fax and it jumps to subs, that's fine. But don't let it activate on subs. I think that's not cool.
I don't know. I kind of enjoy shooting the Wonderku Gate camp with my Keepstar Doomsday every day. Tackles the idiot that one's in a drag bubble and zap a Tengu.
Too many times I was trying to fight on a Keepstar grid, and then we had like the magic mark of 490, you know what I mean? So you can't get locked. But then one of us gets too close, and then boom, the DD jumps and we all dead. It's like happened to me quite a couple of times. But that's another thing, right? The 490 mark is the magic mark, because that's where you have to put the bubble too to drag stuff. So in general, it always comes back to the whole Citadel situation. Like, why do they even have defenses if it's not getting attacked, right? Why even have that? If there's a bubble up, then you have to undock and kill the bubble.
Right, is that they're very underwhelming or very oppressive, depending on what you do. Because like you drop carriers on them or whatever, and they'll get wrecked by the missiles. But you drop a subfleet on a Forza, unless the gunner knows what he's doing very well, then you can basically just sit there all day and just shoot the Forza, and there's nothing you can do. Astra houses and Athanos are a waste of time shooting anything, really. So, I mean, the whole, a well-gunned POS was better than any Citadel by miles. Just like, cap gun POSes would destroy a Dreadfleet, but you can drop, long-range Phoenixes on a Forza and face tank it.
Well, can you though? Can you still do that?
Well,
I'm not 100% sure.
I think, well, it depends on what it's fit, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think so. I don't think you can. Phoenixes probably don't work anymore. Maybe.
After the patch, probably not.
Yeah. And then, obviously, some smaller groups like Snuff. I had a discussion with Hai actually about it, and I brought it up to Rise. I've not seen it myself, not tested it or anything. But active faxes also can't tank a Forza anymore, so you can't field an active fax of your own to for an aggressive timer like a Forza, right? You're hitting a Forza, you can't bring that fax because that fax is gonna die to the fort too quickly, right? Within 5 minutes, basically. So that might just be not the balance they were looking for. Rise said you can tank it, which was surprising to me that he just would go on and say you can tank it long enough to end your siege cycle or your trash cycle, and
as long as there's another fleet that's shooting you as well.
Well, yeah, but that's fair play. I mean, that's all right. I think the Citadel should add something to the defense. Yeah. And then if there's a major amount of DPS on that fax already, then you don't need as big of a fleet to tip it over and kill it. I think that's all right.
I mean, the whole patch was designed so that people aren't losing stuff, right? So.
Yeah, and what's your take? Like, give it a rating for the patch. Like, I pinged it out to all the FC chat guests, the former guests. They should give it a rating. What do you think? Like, if you have to give the whole patch a rating between 1 and 10, what would you guys think? Like, overall.
I think they've done what the CCP normally do on patches, where they've done a lot in one. So, like, when they added caps, they added faxes and cap mods and tracking titans, rebalance all the fighters, and they've done that again with cap booster nerfs and hit point nerfs and fighter application, and so I don't know, like a 6 maybe.
A 6? I feel like that's low. What about you, Ultra?
I don't know. I was thinking lower than that even.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's the right way to look at it, but the way I look at it is, it's basically a big buff to people that like whaling.
But it's not, is it? Because in the same patch, they've removed everything from space.
Yeah, that's like kind of the, how do you say, the effect of it. But I think that was the initial purpose of it. Like they've buffed bombers, which are already used a lot. Like they
They
buffed
buffed.
range.
Wait a second. They didn't buff bombers. What are you talking about?
Tech 2
Top-
torpedoes.
Yeah,
Tor
torpedoes.
bombers.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Which is
bombs
used for
are
not
nerfed.
bombs, but like what they use for whaling is basically Tech 2 torpedoes or even polarized torpedoes. They got a buff, then resists got nerfed, and then the HP bonus on supers and titans got like halved almost.
How many supers have you seen out since the patch?
Yeah, not
Well,
many.
a couple.
Exactly. Compared to, look at how many are dying. The only ones that are dying are in low sec traveling at the moment, aren't they? Or the occasional. Whereas before the patch, it was like 6 die every day. You can go to
So
take a Kiki fleet to Delve. You'll kill 4 supers before we kill your fleet.
the thing is, though, I believe this is like one step, right? So they have to do several steps. I believe they're gonna introduce some way for supers to be in space again, be it a special site or you know.
But why? Yeah, why is that focused on like supers PvEing and then bombers coming to whale? Like, why can't it be alliance PvP where supers are used in an interest? Like that's I got a
But
Titan
that's
because
not
I
easy
wanted
to balance, is it? Like, how would you approach it your way then?
Well, I mean, there's damage caps are what make caps pointless, right? There's no point putting a Titan on grid to shoot a Citadel that is a damage cap from half a Titan. You might as well use, 20 battleships and be doing the same thing.
And sorry, Ultra, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
That's fine. I think currently, like I got a Titan maybe like a year ago, and I've yet to use it in like a battle somewhere, and that's the main thing I really want to do with it is like drop it on some big battlefield and fight with it. And currently, I'm just using it for bridging because I never have a chance to actually use it. And I think that's the problem. Like if they put out PvE sites where I can rat with my Titan and it's gonna get dropped by like bombers, I don't think that's interesting for me so much. Like it's fun as the whaling fleet to kill stuff. I understand that. First of all, PvEing in a Titan or in a super, it's fucking boring as hell, no? So I think like John said, like the damage cap is a big reason why people don't put supers or Titans on a Citadel. And Citadels are kind of the main thing people fight over these days. And I think that's something that needs to change. Like
Yeah.
that we get fights where it makes sense to drop supers and Titans.
So
okay.
No, go.
It's not even so much the damage caps that are the problem. Like I'm fine with damage caps, right? Just gives people a chance to form or whatever. But the whole way the game's designed around micro gang bullshit for Sov, which is essentially 2 blocks fighting each other, it ultimately boils down most cases into a big fight somewhere, and then everyone runs around and intoses. There isn't many fights that happen where it's, oh, there's 10 guys on this node having a skirmish, and there's 10 guys on this node. Isn't it engaging gameplay? No, you have a big fight somewhere, and then you go around and hack the node.
Yeah, I agree. I think the approach is, I kind of like the approach of it, but I feel like they need to tweak it, right? I believe there's too many nodes at the same time, so you can't even think about fighting on certain nodes, or it's not worth fighting for 1 node, 2 nodes. Like, it's not worth it. Just, keep your fleet alive, make sure you get the next ones,
If they made, I know they were wanting to add like an admin Citadel or whatever, right? But if it was constellation based, where you drop a Citadel in a constellation and you have to attack that Citadel to then make the constellation vulnerable, you then get the fixed point fight, which everybody loves and people play the game for, and CCP make all these trailers about. And then after that, you can go and attack each system in the constellation, but with like, I don't know, reduced defense.
Yeah.
So then you get your conflict driver because they have to defend that Citadel or their space is vulnerable. It's like, you used to go to someone's space and drop an SPU and they'd have to form up and kill the SPU, or you start, flipping their eye ups.
You know what that would solve also would maybe, like, I didn't think about this all too much, so like I'm just gonna entertain the idea of it, right? But maybe that could solve the problem of like Soft just being there to get harassed. You know what I mean? Like at the moment, any Entoses, like 99% of all Entoses, is just harassment. And you know, you could make the argument saying, okay, the more space someone has, the bigger the the surface should be, and then the chance that you get harassed. And people would say that that might be fair, but I think it's still not good gameplay, right? So what you would like to see is like people making like real moves and fighting each other, and not just like Entosis Bifrost at MGD off the second you jump into system and stuff like this. It's just not good gameplay, right? I think everyone can agree to that. Even the guys that like doing it, I think everyone can agree
it's
to.
The same with like, jump bridges and stuff, right? Where these people that shoot our jump bridges are never going to be able to kill it in a billion years, but they can come along and shoot with a Leshak, and then you form like 5 dudes to chase them up, and they'll just come back in 20 minutes and shoot it again. It's like, well, you're doing nothing. You're just being annoying. But the Citadel can't defend it anymore because they moved it away. So you're just wasting people's time guarding a jump bridge that they can't do anything to, other than be a pest.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, though, you could make the argument saying, okay, that one Leshak starts Entosing, you guys show up with 5 guys, but boom, it's not one Leshak, it might be a Leshak and 20 Lokis. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff, you could technically say, okay, there's more, maybe the meta isn't formed yet, and people don't understand like how to use it quite yet. And I think it might just be a valid argument to a degree, right? I think there's probably more potential to get fights on it than people realize.
It only works once, right? Like the dude baits once, and then we just send 200 dudes next time, and they won't get.
But then you could make the argument, okay, now we made them form 200 dudes every time, and you know how that works in wars, right? The war kicks off, and then, or not the war kicks off, but let's say there's a longer.
If you look at the sub map, right? If you looked at Quirius, why do you think we let it all flip? Because we don't want it. We don't want to defend it.
Yeah, but exactly. But if you let a small group make you form 200 dudes every time they show up with like one guy, that's, you can't keep that up, I feel like, right? It's the made you form kind of mentality, and then they win. And it's a sad reality, really, but that's how it is, right?
But how's that good game design?
No, I'm not saying that's good game design.
One guy can just be stupid.
I'm not saying that one is good. Right? Yeah. I'm just entertaining the idea, basically. Right.
Yeah, I think the problem with those jump bridges, like for us, it's like a little bit annoying because we have to like form for it or whatever. But to be honest, for them, there's no real incentive to kill the jump bridge. Like they don't gain anything from it. It's just like a thing where people can be annoying, and that's like the end goal of the whole thing. Like there's nothing to gain or.
But that is sometimes the goal, though. And it has always been, right? Like be it a camp on the way, or be it revving a jump bridge so you can use it or whatever.
No gate camp in the history of gate camps has wanted a good fight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, but it's an annoyance, right? So it's their goal, and it's a legitimate thing. I mean, it might just be a tactical tool to a degree too, like reffing jump bridges. I know our jump bridge networks stretches way too far anyway, and then they get touched all the time. I know you know that. So it's a legit tool in that case, I feel like. Right? So it's not all bad about it. But yeah, it's not easy to balance the whole soft thing. And I believe, if I have to take a guess right now, so now it's capitals, they got hit a little bit and stuff like this. I think the next step should be citadels. I think they need to be touched in more than one way. I think one of the things they actually mentioned, I'm not sure if did you guys read all the thingies and so on? All the patch notes and dev blocks?
Revisions and stuff.
So for citadels, for citadels, they mentioned on one of the slides, I forgot which one it was, but for one of the slides, they mentioned asset safety. which I believe is a very important, step in the right direction. If they might just make it worse. I don't know, but I'm hoping they make it better. But what do you think? Like, asset safety, is that the number one issue with Citadels, or what do you think? Like, do you even Citadels are a little bit of an issue, right? But
the self-defending, low-effort mechanics behind them are the problem, right? Like, it's self-repairs and has damage caps, regardless of whatever. But if they made it so like a low-power Citadel had no damage cap, I think that'd be great. If you can't be bothered to fuel it, then it shouldn't get all these passive bonuses that make it survive.
Well, I think I agree, yeah. You know what? A lot of people suggested before that low power Citadels shouldn't have tether. And I know where that comes from, but at the same time, if you would have like different rules and people don't know when they can tether and when they can't and stuff, I think that would be too confusing and just annoying, to be quite honest. In the end, it's just annoying. And I know, like how many kills would you get on low power, like Astros and shit?
Yeah, you just camp it because they don't think they're tethered.
There's nothing really there, but But yeah. But asset safety they did mention, right? So what do you think? Is there going to be their approach to asset safety? Or what do you hope is going to be their approach to asset safety?
I mean, they can't. If they're too reckless with it, then it just turns into being goons are just going to roll your space and kill shit, right? We've done it with 1,000 Titans and just kill your Citadels and take your shit if there's no asset.
Yeah.
But the whole reason they added it, right, is because they wanted to remove the stations, which they've done. But then they didn't want to make all the players that are potentially going to start the game again quit by having all that shit. So it's a hard call, really.
So I think there's probably two schools of thought. I know Rise has been thinking about it. He mentioned before that the asset safety fee is getting paid out to the guys that killed it. I know that's on their radar. Or that what was the other one? I forgot what he mentioned last time. Something similar, right? So you get like a payout. So the guys attacking it, they get like a payout from the asset safety or whatever, right? But then
they were talking about that with Athanos, weren't they? Where if you blow it up, it like drops some of the moon or some shit, like a chunk of the. But I don't think that's like overly interesting. Like, oh, we killed your Athanos, now get your oracles out of mine.
Yeah, but so there's another. Oh yeah, exactly. Bjorn says it in chat. Exactly, he mentioned a thing saying you have to put a chip in to turn it on, basically. Meaning you have an investment in there. So when it gets destroyed, that chip drops, something like this. So I feel like they're basically trying to get around the asset safety like drop rate discussion. Right? So what I would love to see, like I think that's the way to go. Give it a 50% drop rate. Whatever's in there, half of it drops. Maybe make it for headquarter Citadels. So, you have like normal asset safety, maybe with that chip, like people get something out of it. Or like the asset safety like fee payout for the attackers. So people who have been away from the game for a while, they don't show up and then, all that shit is gone.
Yeah, I think reading that chip comment, I think that's an interesting approach, because my worry about like getting rid of asset safety is the people that are going to get hit by that are the line members, right? Like they're going to lose all their stuff that they have stored in this Keepstar. And I'd like to be the burden to be on the alliance that owns the Keepstar. So if the alliance that like installs the Keepstar, they have to put a chip in that costs, I don't know, X amount of money, and that's the thing that drops, I'd be fine with that more than like people go AFK, right? Or they can't play for a week or whatever. And if you lose your Keepstar in the meantime, what are you gonna lose all your Titans and shit you have in there? Like that's a difficult thing to balance, I think.
But then again, like how do you price that thing? You know what I mean? Like, is the chip that you put in 1DQ, which is probably the richest Keepstar in the game, there's the most shit in there, is that the same price tag as like a Keepstar that's in J5A? For example, a Goon Keepstar that's in J5A, that's basically not used at all, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be based on like how much the market is used or how long the Keepstar's been online. Like it could be accumulating over time, like become worth more.
You couldn't do time online because we'd just keep dropping new keep stars.
Yeah, but then you have to move all your shit and stuff, right? Yeah, I mean,
you just have to safety it. It's fine.
All right.
So, what do you guys think? Are they gonna do the chip approach? Yeah.
Well, there's already sort of that, right? Because you have to have a service module on a Citadel to online it. So there's already an investment to have it online.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why don't they just make those more expensive, right? Then, I mean, then but then the idea is they drop and you can't really loot it with the attacker necessarily, right? Or you don't want to because it's too big, and the chip would be maybe smaller or something. I don't know. But then the chip can be stolen, right? NPC Sortio style. A hostile scepter just, warps in and scoops it and ha, Is that the way to? I don't know. That would be fucking horrible.
Yeah.
I did like the change they did with, you have to drop a large Citadel to get it in for ADM system.
Yeah. I think
that was a good change. Something like, reckless Rataru spam, 400 mil Citadel.
I still believe Citadels should be straight up limited in type and size, like per system, per constellation, per region. Yeah. There should be a limit on them. And then if there's too many of them, let's say in 1DQ there's obviously too many, you only have 5 slots for combat citadels. That's Astrahouses, Fortizars, and Keepstars, yeah? And then you have to decide, what do you put up? Do you put up 5 Keepstars? But then Keepstars are extra large, right? So then you can say, okay, you can only have 1 extra large citadel per system though. So then you have to go 1 Keepstar, maybe 2 Fortizars, and 3 Astrahouses, for example, right? That would be the setup or whatever. And then you can only put Keepstars like 1 per constellation or 2 per region or whatever. Like you can put like a lot of limits on it. And then if you have too many, like in 1DQ, only the oldest citadels remain and the rest unanchors after 10 days, basically, And then you would have that opening also for attackers. For example, I want to kill the 1DQ Keepstar. Then I would put up a Fortizar, even though the limit is already reached, but then I have 10 days time before my Fortizar unanchors automatically because it's like newer than the other ones, right? In those 10 days, if I kill a Fortizar though, then obviously mine would be one of the older ones, even if you put a new one up, correct? So, you could always I think that would be a way to limit it to a degree and get around the Citadel spam that we have. I'm not sure if you can follow what I was even rattling about here.
Yeah. I think the problem is that mopping Citadel spam up is so tedious.
That on top of it, yeah.
Yeah, when Dominion Sub was a thing, it would be you'd have the war and it'd drag out for like a month or whatever. The war would be over, and then you'd just flip around the region in a week with 200 supers, and you just go and zap all the iHubs, right, and the TCUs and the stations, and flip it. But now, it's slightly better now that they've made it so they don't all come out on Tuesday at 6 a.m. But that was awful. That was just bad because you could only do 20 Citadels before you made your people want to kill themselves. But
yeah. Well, that's another thing, right? Why do Rataru's, Astrahouses, all the smaller Citadel? Why don't they have 3 timers? You have to ref it, then ref it again, and then kill it. Come on. Those are small enough for us to say, okay, they get 1 timer, right? You ref it, and there's going to be a timer, and then you can kill it. It's not that big of an investment. It's, that's the fight generator right there.
Fortizars should only have, Fortizars and Orp should have 2 maybe. But for sure, Astrahouses and Rotarus, Athanors should only have 1, possibly.
Yeah, so someone says, if you're in a smaller group, that's your only shit. Yeah, okay. Let's say Astrahouses, Fortizars, and Keepstars should have 2 timers then. You know, those are the staging type of citadels. You know, that's all right. Shouldn't be just falling over, because that would be also a bad thing. If you only have one time on a keepstar, then let's say 1DQ gets reffed, you instantly would have to think, okay, should we now evacuate our shit? And then people would throw a lot of shit at it just to kill it, no matter what the cost. You know what I mean? So it probably would die. But 2-timers, that's a different story. So yeah, you know, staging stuff should have 2-timers, I feel like. I think that's all right.
I think you should have. Well, if they made it so like you designate a staging
per system,
citadel, or not even system, like if you just pick your alliance's staging citadel, and that one got 3 times.
But then, you know what people do, right? They create more alliances, and then every fucking citadel is gonna be under another alliance.
Yeah.
You know, there's like ways to
Eve
fuck
players,
with it.
Eve players.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be careful. I mean, even everything I'm suggesting all the time and stuff, there might be holes in there. And guys, if you see a massive hole in like a theory, what I have and stuff like this, work it out and send me a message. Because like, obviously I'm a little bit more vocal, and I'd rather bring something forward that has, some thought behind it, and maybe some other people, try to poke holes into, than, having just some, just random thoughts. Obviously, I'm thinking about that kind of shit all the time. I think a lot of FCs do, right? Thinking about
just trying to
mechanics and stuff.
To do sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, I think so. You guys weren't too happy with the trailer. I feel like the trailer was a little bit overhyped. Oh no, actually, I was asking about the patch. But it kind of goes into the same direction, I would guess, right? Trailer and patch. So you guys weren't too hyped about the last patch. But what about the general direction? What do you feel like? How optimistic are you about the game direction on a scale 2-10? What do you guys think?
I think the thing that Rise is doing, I forgot the name of his, was it Team Talos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about that. Like, I think he's doing like good changes to the game. I also think they're doing it like more iteratively, like more often, smaller changes. I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, I feel like they're not too worried to say, okay, we tried this, we didn't get it quite right, let us adjust. And that's totally fine. Nobody complains about that, right?
Yeah, so I think that's good. I'm a little bit, that's my concern with this patch, is that I think they just looked at it from one specific viewpoint, which, from what I can tell, is based on whaling. Like they've tried to make whaling the main way of killing more stuff, like killing more supers and titans.
Yep, you know what? I mean, yes, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if whaling is the most interesting way to do that. Like, I'd rather have something where it makes sense, like not to PvE your supers, but to do like a big battle in supers where they'll die. Like, that would be a lot more interesting for me than Loki camping shit for hours and then dropping on.
Yeah, so I think the changes had an effect on whaling, maybe, like you said, but I don't think that was exactly what they had in mind. And I think now think about the battles, right? Think about, like, let's say X47 or something like this. It would have changed too. You know what I mean? So I believe the only reason why, or not the only reason, but one of the reasons why you might think this goes towards whaling is because whaling is like the main thing that's going on right now. Because there isn't a whole lot of other fighting going on, really, if you think about it. So that's the only playstyle where you will see the effect. Because that's the only really active playstyle at the moment, right? Wouldn't you agree? So if there was wars going on, I think wars would be impacted too. It's not all about the whaling thing, I think, right? I mean, we're not going to see any blaster rocks duking it out, or but
yeah. But I mean, these changes are okay for wars as well. But they're also talking about like making supers, and they did already with Titans, not apply to sub. And then with the damage cap, there's no point on dropping them on citadels either. So it basically results in no one ever using their supers and titans for anything because they're kind of making them like useless, no, and like less tanky. So I think they're kind of desensitizing and sensitizing to use them in a battle. Like it's going more towards subcaps.
What do you mean Titans can't shoot subcap? My Vanquisher can hit any subcap just fine.
If it's webbed.
Yeah, 90% webs are dreams. So.
Don't get me triggered on 90% webs. No, that's one of the things we struggled with recently. Is like the 90% web projectors from Vendettas. Is that one guy in Horde? Hope he's watching. I'm gonna go get you.
Several Kiki fleets with Vendetta webs.
And it's so easy to like if you're 1,000 meters per second, it's almost impossible to not hit it. That's the thing. And then you're 90% webbed. Guess what? It's way easier to hit all the projectors suddenly than you're kept out. You're webbed to shit. You're painted. You're pointed. There's bombs coming in from fighter. Like it's so crazy. But yeah. But let me not derail this here. So what do you say, Ultra? What is the rating you give the general direction of Eve right now? The patch wise and stuff like this. What do you feel like it's going?
I mean, I'm kind of hopeful about the future, I guess. So I'd say for the direction they're going in, probably like a 7 or something along those lines.
All right.
I'm worried they're gonna focus too much on like PvE and whaling stuff. I'd like to see a bigger focus on like battles.
Yeah, so what I think or what I hope is Citadels are next and they're gonna adjust some stuff, and I hope we will at least have some Citadels without damage cap. You know, I have to be honest, I kinda like the damage cap for certain things, you know? So I don't hate it too much because you have the time to form up and all that stuff. Otherwise, you get your shit nuked in no time and you can't even react that fast, right? So I kind of like it, but you know, there's a balance there, I believe. So I agree. If there was some stuff without damage cap that Supers and Titans would be willing to form for and hit, that would be awesome. And then also there should be maybe like a PvE side that makes sense for Supers and Titans. I think for Supers it still works, right? As far as I can tell, there's still Supers reading. So maybe, you know.
Yeah. PvE still works, I think.
I think the mechanics they put in with sort of like Cyanojammers are more interesting Citadel mechanics than they are on normal Citadel. Flex structures. You know, where it anchors, and if it's not online, you can kill it and some things like that.
So what's your take on it, John? Put a number on it. What do you think? Like, what's your feeling?
I don't think we know enough about what they're really doing.
That's why I say feeling. Come on, let's take a guess. What do you feel like is the?
In my experience of the last 8 years, and
that's the thing. Like now it's a little different, right? So what do you feel like is the general direction going to now? If it's still like if it's a 1 out of 10, it's fine. But yeah,
the new avatar design's cool. The art team's great.
That's it.
I don't know. Not 8. Be cautiously optimistic.
Holy shit! Like, so you build this up saying like, oh, but the last 8 years and stuff like this, right? And then you give it an 8.
It's a higher number than me.
What the fuck? So you both are optimistic. I'm also with you with the 8, to be honest.
Yeah, if they need to add something to replace posses as a mechanic, and then make it so that if you drop bullshit Citadels, you can just kill them. That's what I think.
I'm not sure if I can follow. Like what?
Like, you know, take X70 for instance. Horde just drop random Citadels that mean nothing to anyone, but they're just a fight generator, right? But we still have to go and shoot them twice. You know, for what is essentially
we can form and shoot them once.
Well, we could if you're there in the on the anchor
online. Yeah,
but they're already online, so
Yeah.
The whole low power.
That's where the
400
that's
mil
where the
citadels.
that's where the citadel limit would come in play again. You know.
Yeah.
So
I think
yeah, I
all
agree.
placement or something would be.
But at the same time, fight generators. You said it right. It might just generate a fight, so I can't be too mad about it. So
Yeah, I think
you know.
I think the problem with those right towers is that no one like really cares if they online or if they die or not. Like they're so cheap and they're not like really strategically relevant either. So it's just for whenever we go there, it's just to like see if we can have a fight. That's like the only reason.
Yeah. But so since you guys gave it a good rating, like a 7 and 8, that's pretty high, I would say. Like, what's the recent change? Like, be it positive or negative, but like I was guessing, like maybe a positive change. What makes you think, okay, this is going the right direction? If it's not the resists or stuff like this from the last one, but what makes you think, like, what makes you think it's going in a positive direction?
Well, for me, I've seen three things that I think are interesting. Two you already mentioned. So the filaments, I think, are a great addition, which makes it easier in general to go to like other people's space, but also for bigger ships. Like battleships were not used much because they can't take wormholes too well. And if you want to travel to, well, let's say to horde space from 1DQ, it takes a very long time in battleship. So I think it's really nice that we can do that with filaments. What was the other one we talked about? The frigate base. So the frigate base in battleships, I think, is really cool. I don't know yet exactly how that's going to play out, like what kind of doctrines it's going to result in, but I think that's an interesting thing in general about Eve, is that it's kind of this sandbox thing where you can invent like interesting combinations. So, for example, battleships and frigates. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think the main reason why I like those is it's a more creative way of creating more content. Like it's not the same simple approach to it and say like, oh yeah, let's just introduce more ships, or some lazy approach to it. But someone thought about stuff, and they and I think with the filaments they did a great job. They're a little bit expensive, I have to say. The 15 filaments, like, come on. Would you agree?
Yeah, right now I think they're very expensive. Yeah,
that's it.
I think the last thing that I've seen that's changed a little bit is it's still kind of the same way now, but there was a while where people were really only flying Munins and Eagles, and like nothing else was ever on the field. And I think now people are flying, for example, more armor doctrines. Like we see the Zealots from Fraternity, and we flew Sex for a while. We did like Typhoons and battleships. And I think it's really nice to see some more like variation in what people are flying.
I mean, if you look at the fight that happened yesterday, Munins Eagles, big blob of both.
Yeah,
it's
still happening, but I think it's going a little bit in like a better direction where there's actually some stuff that counters Munins in a way.
Yeah. John, what do you think? Like, what's one of the recent changes that you that stick out to you, that you would think like is positive or negative? What would you really like?
Anything that makes supers not just shit on any subcap would.
Anything that doesn't make, or that makes supers
not just destroy everything. Right. Like you drop 5 supers on a small gang and you just kill regardless. Right? There's no gameplay there for anybody that anyone enjoys. The supers go, haha, killed your caracal, but it's like whatever.
Well, the sirens got like removed from supers, sirens and dromies. Not sure if that's enough. Enough.
If any micro gangers come to Delve, we already know that goons can't
Goons can't tackle.
It's like you jump supers in and be like, spread sirens, and the dudes just warp off because the sirens are still sat in the supers and they're not moving.
Happens to us too. All right. So I think supers are probably in a good position, just balance wise. Now, I mean, definitely better than before, but they just need like more opportunities to undock, right? That's basically what we would agree on here. Like that's the big theme. But you kind of like the way they touched supers recently, yeah.
One thing I'd say is I find the fighter layout super annoying. Like, why they've made it that you can have 4 heavies but 3 lights, and then it's like, why not just make it so you can have 5 and then reduce the damage bonus? You know, so you can just have a full fight of the same thing.
Yeah.
Or just, you know, like having 3 lights and 2 heavies. Like your long range bombers are never going to be helpful in that fight, are they?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I don't even know.
But it's
Someone
like,
must have
you know,
thought.
you launch your 4 long range bombers. What do you put in the 5th? A light that you can't MJD it there, and you have to burn it there, or there's no mix there that works, is there? It's just sort of an extra thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
They should
I
have just
don't know.
removed a tube. That would have been better if they'd removed a tube off supers, so they had 4, and you could just launch 4 light. I don't know. It seems like they've gone. We should just remove light fires and we'll add a heavy because that'll bonus it out. Now it just kind of feels a bit silly having 5 with mixed loads, but whatever.
So do you have any? So basically, like we're approaching the end here. Like it's usually I aim for 2 hours, so it's like an hour 55.
Oh shit! Yeah, we've been talking for a while already.
Yeah. So
I didn't even notice.
I'm gonna release you guys in a minute, but at the end, do you have any predictions? Like any bold prediction? What's gonna happen? Maybe what's CCP is gonna do? Do you think you know what their next move is, or do you think like it's hard to predict? Nothing.
Well, I'd let them to do something with conflict drivers, but I don't know how they do that.
And the guys on stream.
I'm really hoping for a solve rebalance. That's what I want. We'll see.
I do believe that's coming at some point. Just not. I hope next to Citadels and then Sov. Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah, currently Sov and Citadels are kind of separate things, pretty much. I think that could be integrated better. Like rather than rather than doing like an Entosis thing first and then killing Citadels, or the other way around. Like they should be kind of integrated together. Like if you kill the Citadel, you also lose the iHub or the.
It should impact the Sov, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that could be integrated better than it is.
Yeah, maybe the maximum index is like you only get like to maximum if you have a certain amount of Citadels, but Citadels are limited in type and size, you know what I mean? If you have a Keepster in there, you get the full maximum 6 and stuff like this. Maybe, I don't know. So you could lower the index by killing Citadels first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Thing with Sov right now, right, is that TCUs are essentially meaningless unless it's, you know, giving you the capital bonus.
Yeah.
So why have them? It's a antique, right, of a mechanic that's not in the game anymore, but we still have them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they probably don't know. Probably just a leftover.
We don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, like leave it in. Let's fix it later. That's probably what they did.
Yeah, I'm also still hoping they do something with the lessons they learned from Black. Like,
good point.
I think Blackout was very interesting from a hunter point of view, and it was very difficult from a radar point of view. But I think there's a kind of balance in between where. So yeah, what I'd like to see them do is, for example, now when you jump into a system, you're cloaked for like a minute, right? Unless you do something. So I think for that minute, or unless you do something, you should be hidden from local. So
Yeah.
it gives you some time to like do D-scanning and whatever, and kind of check out at least like 14 AU from where you come in. But as soon as you decloak, you should show up and be visible in local. I think that'd be a nice balance.
You're not the first. It's not the first time I hear that. And I've suggested always like a 20-second delay. It would also fuck with borders and stuff. Yeah, that would be my dream actually. Like the lesson, the painful, you have to say, painful lesson they learned with Blackout. I mean, use it, please. Come on. That's exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking the same. It would be good. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. If anyone on stream has any good questions, put them in. I might just be able to ask in the last second here. But other than that, it was really nice talking to you guys. Always a pleasure. And
thanks for inviting me, dude.
And thanks for coming on. Much appreciated. And let's see if we have any question here. What's the reason to undock for industry and miners? I don't know.
Right now, absolutely nothing. Because you can't fucking mine, and whaling is buffed. So yeah, stay docked.
When are you guys joining in it?
When I get my my corp kick from Goon, so soon TM.
They're gonna be mad if we take you in then. Well, that's alright. Alrighty, guys. Then I would say also, everyone, thanks for watching, and thanks for the subs and all that stuff. And I would say, see you guys on the next one. I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna stream tomorrow 1500, around 1500, or with a smaller gang. Maybe Kikis? I don't know yet. I don't know. If you usually rock on mine at the time, I mean, we're totally not flying Kikis tomorrow, okay? So there you go. So I'm gonna do something tomorrow at least. So stay tuned for that. And then see you guys around. And thanks again.
All right, thanks, dude.